What's up, Multiverse? Dr. Dave here. Welcome to the Geek Lounge. So this past weekend we went to Comic Con Liverpool and I thought I would share with you guys my haul as well as give you my thoughts on the con itself, a little review if you will. And now I figured the best place to start is the actual entry process to the con because it has significantly improved compared to the last time I went to this con. If you guys didn't know, Comic Con Liverpool is actually Monopoly's flagship event. They do it twice a year, a spring version normally held in April or May, and then let's say like an autumn winter version held in October or November. And now I didn't go to the one in April earlier this year, but I did go to the November one last year, and I have to say the process was very, very painful. And I know it was the same in 2021. I'd seen articles, I think it was the Liverpool Echo, talking about angry people. Because what basically happened, guys, is we arrived, so I'm talking about last year first of all, we arrived at like 8:20 and there were just thousands of people snaking around like the convention area, all the other like office buildings. I don't know if there are like houses or anything there, like residential areas, but just snaking all around the block, thousands and thousands of people. And we actually didn't get onto the show floor till about 9:45. Now, when you've paid for a priority entry ticket, which means you should get onto the show floor at 9 a.m, 9:45 is just quite frankly not good enough. And there were like thousands of people behind us, thousands in front and thousands behind, so some people would have not got onto the show floor till after 10. And then fast forward to this past weekend, we arrived at roughly the same time, about 8:20, with the same expectations that maybe we won't get onto the show floor till about 9:30, 9:45. We're actually on the show floor, guys, at 8:35. We were through in like 15 minutes. Obviously, they had opened up the venue earlier, but the whole system, the whole process was just managed so much better. They had security right there before you went in. They had the different sections for priority tickets, diamond pass holders, you know, weekends, Saturday. I think there were some general entry lines as well, rather than it being this one massive like snaking line all around the blocks. So like the security were then there with the metal detectors, you kind of all went through, then you got your wristbands, and then you pretty much headed inside. It was just so much better than it was last year. I don't know if this was like a gradual change, like if this is how it was in April. Like I said, I didn't attend the event and I don't actually know anyone who did, so yeah, whether it was like gradual or if they had already done it, you know, in the April event, I have to say it's so much better. So thank you, Monopoly, for that. At least I hope it stays in this vein for the future. We did, of course, have that really big storm across the UK. Babbitt, was that name? I can't entirely remember. So I don't know if that caused people to be late, you know, travel chaos, etc, etc. We did have a bit of a tough time getting up there on the Friday, but then the weather was actually beautiful for the whole weekend there in Liverpool, so it kind of really added to it. But yeah, like I said, I don't know if people therefore were arriving late. I'm not entirely sure. Let's see for the future. And now if there's one thing you can bet your life savings on, it's that Monopoly events are going to come with an absolute fire guest list at one of their cons. It was the same this past weekend at Liverpool. We had the likes of Helena Bonham Carter at her first ever comic convention, Jensen Ackles, Misha Collins, and a whole bunch of the Supernatural cast members, Stranger Things, Walking Dead, Vampire Diaries, tons and tons of different people, tons of awesome guests, I should say, that attended. And when it comes to putting together guest lists, I have to say, I do feel Monopoly are the best in the business, at least here in the UK. They just seem to get, well, maybe not the best guests, like the most varied guests. So you've got actors from movies, TV shows, you get sports stars, maybe not so much this year, but in the past they've had awesome anime, voiceover actors as well. They just have such a varied guest list. And I'm not saying the likes of MCM or Showmasters don't get awesome guests. Of course they absolutely do. They're just not as varied, at least in my opinion, as Monopoly events. The only one who probably come close to them are maybe like Wales Comic Con, like the Telford Takeover, at least when we're talking about variety. And now all my interactions with guests I met this past weekend at Comic Con Liverpool were very positive. I met 8 guests in total. I got 10 Funko Pops signed. I'll share those with you guys in a minute. But I did just want to say a few words on some of them, starting with Helena Bonham Carter. So for her, Jensen Ackles and Misha Collins, they all had time slots you had to book for both the photo ops and autographs. They were also in separate rooms away from the regular show floor. And my time slot for Helena Bonham Carter was the first autograph time slot of the day, which was 10:40 a.m, if my memory serves me right. They told me to arrive like 15 minutes before. I went like 20 minutes, but there were tons of people ahead of me anyway, so I'm sure people did arrive much earlier. And I can't really remember the time I ended up getting out of there. I feel it was about 20 past 12, half past 12. So we kind of queued round, got into the like room she was in. You showed your ticket. You got a like this little coin thing that you then had to give them, and then they would mark your name off, which was still a bit weird. I don't therefore know why there was a coin thing in the first place, to be honest. But within the room, she was then in one of those like blacked out structures, because I believe they did the photo ops in this same room. So a lot of people in the line, because it got to about, I think it was like 11:30, and I think her first autograph session was going to be ending at 11:40, and then she was going to be doing photo ops again until like 2:20, I believe, was the next autograph session. So a lot of people in the queue were like, how is she going to get through us? And there was certainly like maybe 40 or 50 people ahead of me, and I was definitely sort of thinking the same thing. But then I was like, you know what, they seem to be doing the photo ops here as well, so like surely they're going to have to clear all of the auto ops out first before they then get to the next photo ops, which they did do. And to be fair, the staff, they were all nice. They managed things well. I certainly think there's been an improvement on that end. A lot of the time when I look at the Monopoly events, like the like social media pages, and a lot of people kind of like share their feedback and say, you guys should do this, you guys should do that. I remember a big one for Northern Ireland Comic Con was like last year. It's like quite a hard venue to get to for like taxis and stuff, and when there's loads of people, it's can be like super busy, right? And so people were saying there should be a shuttle bus or something like that. And what was there last year? There was a shuttle bus. I do feel Monopoly listen, and I think in the past people have said like sometimes your staff members, they're a bit abrupt, they're a bit rude. I've certainly seen that more in the past, not so much this year. And I have to say, from the events I've been to, you know, Comic Con Manchester and Comic Con Liverpool, the staff were all very, very friendly, very, very nice, and I think they did handle the queues pretty well. I actually can't talk too much about how things went with Jensen or Misha because I didn't actually meet them. I've never even seen Supernatural, to be honest. I do maybe want to check it out at some point. I know it's pretty long, I think like 320 plus episodes, but I will eventually check it out. I would have still loved to have met Jensen, to be honest, and got my Soldier Boy Funko Pop signed from the boys, because I absolutely freaking love that show. He sold out quite a long time ago, but from all of the people I spoke to who did meet them, they said they were absolutely lovely. The lines worked pretty well. So again, I think it was all positive. And to be perfectly honest, everyone I spoke to at the con actually had a really good time. There were some very positive reactions to how everything went. I did see some negativity on social media. We'll get to that in just a second. One story I did hear from a couple of guys though was the Simon Pegg line, because he was only there on the Saturday. Now they told me that I knew he was sold out, but they told me there were then some time slots that went round that you had to book in, which kind of made sense, but I honestly don't remember seeing anything in terms of them like announcing there were going to be time slots. Normally they announce it on social media and then an email goes through if you have booked like an auto or a photo op, but I don't remember them announcing anything on social media. So unless they did just have like a stealth email or something to those guests who had bought both of the opportunities, I'm not entirely sure. But apparently everyone ignored those emails. This is just what I'm being told. I'm not entirely sure if this is what actually happened, but I do know his queue was very, very long. I mean, it was to be expected. He was only there for the Saturday. Nick Frost also being there, so we had the dual ops with those guys as well. But yeah, his queue was very busy throughout the whole day. And then what they told me was that at 4:30 p.m, because they had rushed through all the autos, the photo ops and everything like that, his table was just completely empty by 4:30 p.m. So they did actually manage to go up to him and buy an autograph because he was sold out previously. So even that's pretty cool. And the only negative things I heard were over social media. Actually, you know what? There were a couple of older ladies, I don't know if I want to use the word Karens, but that's kind of what they reminded me of. They were sort of complaining, like we were up eating lunch and they were complaining, like a late lunch, let's say, and they were saying, oh, I don't know if we're going to get to this guest, like the Times, they need to do things much better. If we don't get through to it, we should demand tickets for the next event for free and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, you're sat up here like kind of eating lunch and they've been up there for quite a while. You could like go down and start queuing or kind of planning this guest. I think it was Persia White, maybe Joseph Morgan as well. I'm not too sure. I didn't like really eavesdrop on their conversation too much, but they were being pretty loud and it was certainly being negative. But I was like, you're kind of up here stuffing your face and complaining when you could kind of be working and grinding on the floor, which you kind of have to do if you're going to cons, to be honest. But the rest of the negative things I heard were on social media now, particularly for Kat Graham, Gwendolyn Christie and Bella Ramsey. I saw people saying they were queuing for like 2.5 hours, and I mean, that's the thing, it's going to happen sometimes, guys. Like, there are photo ops, there are auto ops, they've got to have breaks. They may be like Hollywood stars or whatever, but they still use the bathroom like us. They still have to drink like us. They still have to eat, nourish themselves and things like that. They still have to take breaks. A lot of them have come from the US, probably jet lagged, tired. I'll speak a little bit about that because I think one of the guests for sure was maybe jet lagged and sick at the same time. But they're just humans at the end of the day, and there are other things that are doing. I've heard people say, can they not do some kind of virtual queuing system? I think a guy mentioned, I'd buy so many more autographs off you if you did it like this. I mean, this is kind of what like the Diamond Pass is for, right? And like, maybe you don't want to pay that amount of money to then sort of skip the queues and things. I do understand that, but I know, someone who's been going to cons for a long time, I do just feel you have to like have that expectation that you are going to be queuing for quite a while. You just have to plan ahead. The schedules are there, the times, make a bit of a plan. Yes, things can overrun. It's going to happen. It just kind of is what it is. The guests, they're always going to try and be courteous and nice and have a little bit of a conversation, especially when you've paid a bit of money, right? The last thing you want is like a 2-3 second interaction, which does unfortunately happen sometimes with really, really big guests. And like the people that actually organize the con, so Monopoly in this instance, they have to, they have to pull the money in. They're spending big money to bring these guests over, accommodation, hotels. Sometimes you have to bring family members, agents and things like that. There's a lot of expense to bringing guests over to the UK, and they've got to recoup that money with ticket sales for both guests as well as entry. All that kind of stuff, right? That makes a con what it is. They still have to recoup that money, because if they're not, then they're not going to put on future events. But you know what? I'm not a genius organizer, so maybe there are some things that can be done better in terms of queuing systems at the cons, particularly the busy ones like Comic Con Liverpool, Comic Con Scotland as well. Let me know in the comment section below if you guys did attend Comic Con Liverpool. How were your experiences? Like, let me know both positive and negative. One thing I can't really talk for too much is accessibility. I don't have a disability or things like that, and I do often see at cons a lot of people who are disabled do generally say that things never go so well for them, and I do kind of sympathize. At the same time, as I said, they've got to sell those tickets, and these things are always going to be busy. I think it's going to be really difficult for a con to essentially make something truly accessible for everyone, if that makes sense, which maybe does sound really harsh, but unless you're just using this huge colossal amount of space, which then just costs more money, guys, I don't really see how things like that can be improved too much. But again, I can't really speak for that, so let me know in the comment section below if accessibility is an issue for you, because it should be passed on to Monopoly, and to be honest, I do think they listen. But all in all, guys, I had a really good time, and I would actually give Comic Con Liverpool a 9, maybe even a 9.5 out of 10, to be honest. Like I said, my guest interactions were all very positive. All of the props, both the props, like the photo ops, I'm trying to think of the word, set builds, that's what they call it, were all very, very cool, always look really good. Free photo ops as well. Cosplays were great. All the traders, all the stores. Actually, one thing I should say, another negative experience that I saw, guys, and I've mentioned them before, Persona Toys, the Funko Pop booth, if you do head to them, like if you're Funko Pop hunting and you see them at any UK cons, make sure you mention that Geek Lounge sent you. You'll get discounts off any Funko Pop purchases you make. But guys, there was a dude who stole, I think it was like 3 Hello Kitty Funko Pops for his kid, and there was obviously like an altercation, and then security came in, and thankfully the Pops got back to down at Persona Toys. But it's like, man, come on, guys, like, stealing, first of all, no, but like, this was a family as well. It was a dad, a mum, and I think there were 2 kids. And it's like, really, what example are you setting for your kids, man? Just don't do that, guys. Don't be a tool. And now, what could Monopoly have actually done to make this a 10 out of 10 event, guys? Well, in my opinion, it's just make the con bigger, which I believe they are at the next one. I think they're moving into the M&S Bank Arena. I believe they're not moving everything there, because then it would be a shorter floor space, but like they're going to use it as well and encompass all 3 venues. At least that's what I understand. So it certainly is getting bigger, but there are like 2 things specifically that I'm talking about. And one of those things, guys, maybe superficial for lack of a better word, but one thing I really hate, guys, wristbands. I mean, it just seems like such a small kind of like independent con thing, and Comic Con Liverpool certainly isn't small. I really like passes. It's like a memento, a collectible from your time at this con. I've certainly been to smaller cons that actually have had passes, you know, much smaller than Comic Con Liverpool, to be honest, half the size, they've still had a pass. But I don't know why Monopoly events don't do passes. They don't have to do it for every single event, certainly not the smaller ones, but you know, Liverpool, which attracts like 40-odd thousand people, you know, Comic Con Scotland in Edinburgh, which attracts like 30-odd thousand people. I think they should do passes for these. Yes, maybe it is a little bit more of an expense, but £1 to £2 on ticket prices. Maybe you guys won't like agree with me and say, no, we don't want that. But I don't know. I just feel like the pass kind of adds to it to an extent, to be honest. Like I said, it is like a collectible, a memento that you can remember from your time, whereas that wristband, that paper thing, you just rip off and throw it away. Like wearing a weekend wristband for me is just so annoying, you know, going in the shower or whatever, keeping that wristband on. I know you can probably cut it off and tape it back on, but it's just a pain. So I really would like to see passes in the future. You know, you can get a like a local artist to design something. You can like get an artist from the like Artist Alley that you bring in to do something. You can even just be boring and have Comic Con Liverpool like the logo on it, right? You know, maybe get a sponsor, something like that. Even for like the lanyard, you could just have a boring old black one. I mean, that's what MCM Comic Con do, and then you have a commercial opportunity to sell a Comic Con Liverpool lanyard, right? Again, it's what MCM do. So that's like one of the things I would like to see. But like I said, it is, I think like superficial is probably the best word I can come up with. And I use that word because it's not the end of the world if they do continue with wristbands. But the one thing I think Monopoly events do need to do to take Comic Con Liverpool to the next level, certainly on the level of the likes of Showmasters and MCM Comic Con, is to have brands. Now, again, this is my opinion. Maybe you guys will disagree and say you kind of like how Monopoly events Comic Cons are at the moment, but I think they do need to bring some of those brands in. You see at MCM the likes of eBay, there's TikTok Shop, you know, DC often have a booth, a Funko booth. I'm trying to think of all the ones off the top of my head. So many. Bandai have a big booth there, Sega. Yes, there are like video games and things you can play, but there's never like any like first plays or anything like truly must see, if that makes sense, you know, at Comic Con Liverpool, whereas at MCM they do have these. I've never actually been to a Showmasters, to be honest, but I've heard from people there are still like brands and things there. But I do think that that's something that Monopoly have to kind of get on board to, you know, basically take Comic Con Liverpool at least to that very next level. I mean, MCM pulls in, I think, around 120 to 130,000 guests over the weekend. We'll certainly see that this coming weekend, especially with Critical Role in town, very, very popular. I believe the Showmasters events pull in, at least London Film and Comic Con in the summer pulls in around 100, I think it's about 100,000 actually. And then of course, Liverpool, I don't know if they've released the numbers just yet. I think it was around 44,000 in April earlier this year. So those other cons significantly bigger. And I do feel it comes with like some of the branding and, or not branding, like those brands coming in where it's kind of like must see, must go to, things like that. That's, in my opinion, just what Monopoly need to do, like I said, to go to that next level. And I think if they had that and just more of that sort of stuff, then Comic Con Liverpool would have without question been a 10 out of 10 event for me this past weekend. I think I rambled on a little bit too much there, didn't I, guys? I do appreciate if you listen to all that I had to say, because I do believe most of you are here for my haul. The only Funko Pop I picked up then this weekend was the Toy Stop exclusive Illumi Zoldyck from Hunter x Hunter, released during LA Comic Con 2021. There is a link to my Funko Pop hunt video that dropped on Monday. We found some really cool Funko Pops if you guys did want to check that out. I did already, pardon me, have this pop in my collection, but it was with the boring old special edition sticker, and it was actually damaged. And if you know me, well, if you don't know me, you're about to see that I do love to get my Funko Pop signed. You can probably see quite a few behind as well, and this is one that I would like to get signed in the future. And speaking of signed Funko Pops, let's get onto the 10 that I got signed this weekend then, guys. I do also apologise if the camera position actually jolted. I actually knocked it when I was sorting through all the Funko Pops over here to my right. But first up then, we have Jesus, signed by the actor Tom Payne to add to my Walking Dead collection. I'm getting a lot of these signed now because obviously Walking Dead's finished and a lot of actors are attending the cons, apart from some of the bigger ones, of course. If you guys wanted to see the back, which I don't know if you do, there are some of the other characters. But yeah, Tom Payne was pretty cool. Like, the one thing a lot of guests can't still say too much because of the SAG-AFTRA. I really struggle with that. Basically, the actors' strikes, they can't really say too much still, but, you know, I pretty much just said to him, because I was a big fan of the Walking Dead comic books. You guys never see. I actually have all of them right up there. A lot of them signed by Charlie Adlard, who was the long-time artist of The Walking Dead. All the graphic novels are up there. But yeah, so I said I was a big fan of the comic books, really liked Jesus, really loved his portrayal, said I was sad with the like thing that happened, and he was like, oh, the thing, and I was like, oh yeah, I suppose it's not really a spoiler to you, is it? And he kind of laughed, and yeah, little fist bump. I still don't really go in for handshakes, because like since COVID, it's all fist bumps for me these days. But yeah, pretty cool guest nonetheless. And I actually got to meet one of my childhood heroes in Liverpool, guys. Well, say childhood. Like, what constitutes a childhood? I would have been like 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, around the time period. I am, of course, talking about the Attitude Era. I met Mick Foley, guys, and I couldn't decide which Funko Pop to get signed, so I decided to go with the 3 Faces of Foley. So we got the Cactus Jack one signed here, which he did incorporate the Bang Bang. He was actually going to do it in yellow, and I asked if he could do it in red, because I had actually intended to then ask him to do the next one in yellow, which is Mankind, but he said, let me do it in brown, trust me. I know it seems weird, but it's actually going to look pretty good. And he wrote, have a nice day on there. He kind of incorporates it with the signature as well. And the signature is not Mick Foley, it is the character that he plays, and I have to agree, I think the brown does go quite well. Let me know what you guys think of that in the comment section below. And although this character was not my favorite of his 3, like of the 3 faces, it was the one I kind of hated the most, to be honest, I do actually love the auto on it. Check out the Dude Love, guys. I think this one just looks the best. The blue pops, it's just the heart instead of the O, which just really makes this, yeah, pop, for lack of a better word. Bit of a pun there as well, with it being a Funko Pop. But yeah, Mick was super cool. You know, I pretty much just said thank you for all the memories. The Attitude Era was just so cool. I was like prime, because it was in my teenage years, you know, with it was kind of like the sex, drugs and rock and roll era of the WWE, WWF then, of course. And he said, yeah, it was great. He had some really fun times. Yeah, just a super cool dude. I don't think I've ever heard anyone have a bad word to say about Mick Foley. And I mentioned earlier, I thought there was a guest that was maybe jet lagged or sick, or maybe even both, to be honest. That was Shameik Moore, who is, of course, the voice of Miles Morales in the Spider-Verse movies. Check out his signature first and foremost, guys. Not the most elaborate. I kind of feel that would be pretty easy to forge. So if you buy anything signed by Shameik Moore, make sure it's authenticated, I guess. This is the PX Previews exclusive Miles Morales from Into the Spider-Verse. I think it is the most expensive one in the collection, so I was happy that I had it in my collection and decided to get this one signed. But yeah, the reason I say I think he was sick and jet lagged is because, firstly, on the Saturday he was late to the table during his autograph signings, because he didn't have any photo ops until the afternoon. He took quite a few breaks, which again, I'm not like criticizing. These guys are only humans, right? And when I finally got to his table, there was a woman in front of me who was getting a print signed, and he obviously made it out to her, to whatever her name was, and then he kind of like paused, and it's like he was just kind of staring into space, and then he was like, oh, I'm so sorry, and then he like went to sign it, and he actually like kind of signed it over the table a little bit, and then he came to me, and I was like, how's it going? Just wanted to say I'm a huge Spider-Man fan, loving what you guys are doing. He was like, oh, thanks. And you could just kind of hear he sounded like tired, and whatnot. Asked me what color pen I wanted. Yeah, just said red, and there it is. Said have a nice day and whatever. When it came to the Sunday, he was much more perkier, to be honest. Like his panel was pretty cool, pretty funny, and I saw him like generally being a bit more active and talking to people on the Sunday. So yeah, you could arguably say it wasn't the best guest interaction, but he was still nice. He was still courteous. You know, I still like him a lot. Huge fan of Spider-Man, like I said. Absolutely love the Spider-Verse movies. And I did manage to meet all 4 Stranger Things guests who attended this past weekend, guys, to add to my Stranger Things signed Funko Pop collection, which was only 2 before this weekend. It is now 6. The other 2 I have, can you guys see them? Yeah, I think you can just about see them there. So Gator Matarazzo signed Dustin, and Alec Utkoff signed Alexi. So the 4 guests that were in attendance, guys, were Gabriella Pizzolo, I think that was her name, who of course played Dustin's real girlfriend, Susie. I got her to sign my Susie Funko Pop, which I then realised was actually damaged. Wait, which side is it? Yeah, it's up there, if you guys can make that out, when I did pull it out a few weeks ago, which is quite annoying, but kind of is what it is, because she's not that easy to get hold of, but I don't think she's super duper expensive either. Got her to sign in pink. I thought it would go with the like pink accents of her gown, her earrings, etc. She was really cool, really sweet, very talkative. Yeah, don't really remember what we talked about, to be perfectly honest. I think the people before me were asking about the Never Ending Story song that they sing, and she said she virtually knows it off by heart. But yeah, like I said, she was very, very sweet, very nice, great guest. As too was this guy, Eduardo Franco, who played Argyle in the 4th season. Such a cool dude, very similar to the character that he plays, to be honest. Maybe not as stonerish, as slow in his speech, but similar. He's not putting on an accent or anything. That's kind of how he talks. Very much, I don't know if he is from California, but he kind of strikes me as that type of guy from California, if that makes sense, without trying to sound too offensive either. But you know what? He's very intelligent, very funny. I saw him in his panel. He was going on about things like Yorkshire tea and all this sorts of things. Like I said, very funny, very cool. My interaction with him, we actually saw him first thing on the Sunday morning. Once I got into the show floor, there was literally no one at his table, so I walked right up to it. I actually asked him if he does like pineapple pizza in real life. He does, guys. I do too, I have to say. I know it's a bit controversial, but I really like it. It's very tasty. He said he has memories from his childhood of his dad, coming home and bringing an Hawaiian pizza and just eating it. And then he was like, I could actually go for one right now. And, I kind of agreed because I hadn't had breakfast yet. But, like I said, very cool dude, very chatty. He actually had this, you guys might see this. I actually don't have, because I do use, I'm going to do a video on this, guys, because a lot of people ask me about it, like the paint pens and things I use. You want to use oil-based paint pens for sure, particularly Sharpie if you can get hold of them. They are quite hard to get hold of though here in the UK. I actually gave away my yellow one at Anime Con in June earlier this year, and I haven't been able to get a yellow one. It's just been out of stock from the place I normally order from. I have no idea which pen he used, but it was super thick, if you guys can make it out there. On the signature, so I did have to keep it out for quite a while to make sure it was dry, but I do like how it came out. And the third Stranger Things guest I met, guys, was Charlie Heaton, who of course plays Jonathan. Him and the next guest I met, which was Natalia Dyer, they are of course in a real life relationship as well as on the show. Well, are they still together on the show? Like a long distance relationship, is it? Or have they ended it? I can't entirely remember. But they're both kind of a little bit shy, to be honest in real life. Well, I'll talk a bit more about Natalia in a minute. But yeah, Charlie Heaton, a little bit shy, but on the panel he was still fairly talkative and things, to be honest. Yeah, just whenever I talk to guests, I just ask how's the city treating you. And I know Charlie obviously is from the UK, but he is now based in New York, he said. So he was like, I haven't seen too much of the city. I've pretty much just only seen this buildings. I think they literally arrived on the Friday afternoon. So he didn't have too much to go on. I think he was only there till about 1:30 on the Sunday, so I don't know if he was catching up with family or anything like that. But yeah, I just said, you know what? Again, I know they can't talk too much right now with the actors' strike, so I just said, a big fan of Jonathan, big fan of the show, can't wait for season 5. He's like, oh yeah, thank you so much, man. Nice to meet you again. Just all positive interactions. And as I just said, Natalia Dyer was the other Stranger Things guest I met. I got her to sign my Nancy Funko Pop. Again, a little bit shy, but still cool, still nice, very sweet, very small and dainty, but I suppose she is in the show as well. I think I said the similar thing to to Charlie, sorry. How's Liverpool been treating you? She says it's been great, everyone's been cool. And yeah, I said the same thing, love Nancy, because I do, both her and Jonathan, I think I really do love those characters, and I was can't wait to for season 5 to come out like everyone else. And she was like, oh, thank you so much. She did a little kind of cute, holding her hands over her chest sort of thing. That kind of gesture that people sometimes make when they're saying thank you. But yeah, really cool. Again, as I said, all very positive. And I figured I'd save this one for the end because it was the headline guest. Even though it was the very first guest that I met this weekend, I did get my Bellatrix Lestrange Funko Pop signed by Helena Bonham Carter at her very first comic convention, guys. The Hot Topic exclusive one, that's why I went with the yellow pen. I think it goes really well. And of course you do have the gold accents of the Pop logo, as well as the Harry Potter logo as well. This was with, if you guys are wondering, because I did just mention I didn't have a yellow oil-based paint pen or Sharpie pen. This was actually a deco paint pen. So this is actually water-based. That's why it really does need to go into a hard case, a hard stack, if you are using the water-based paint pens, guys, because they will chip a bit more. So you do have to be a bit careful. Helena, as I said earlier, they overran the photo ops, so the autos were kind of a bit late, but that just meant that everything overran. I don't know if if they did like pressure her to be quick. I'm not entirely sure, to be honest, because the staff are all kind of saying it depends how chatty she is, it depends this and that, it's kind of up to her. But from what I heard from a lot of people, she wasn't super chatty. I know some people were a little bit disappointed with the photo ops that she wasn't like, there was no kind of touching and things like that, but I can kind of understand that to an extent. Yes, you may want to hug, you may want to do a special pose or something along those lines. I kind of get it, especially when you do pay the money. And she wasn't cheap either, like £150 plus fees. So I kind of get that to an extent, but I do understand it from the guest perspective as well. But my interactions with her, they were pretty quick. I just said, you know, hi Helena, how's it going? She said, yeah. She was like very quiet. Again, very kind of small and dainty as well. But yeah, very, very kind of quiet and soft spoken. She said, yeah, it's going well, thank you. And then she, I don't know why I'm trying to do her accent, to be honest. And I just said, oh, thanks, you know, thanks for coming and doing a con. And she was like, oh, thank you so much. And that was pretty much it. You know, I've been queuing for a while, so I kind of wanted to get out of there as well, to be honest. Starving, so I hadn't had breakfast and it was gone lunchtime as well. But yeah, again, very cool, very nice. Yes, it was very quick, but it is what it is. I'm kind of used to that now. And well, that was my haul, guys. I didn't actually pick anything else up. No kind of art, no pins, nothing else like that. Just the one Funko Pop and then 10 signed Funko Pops that I already had in my collection. I guess I better wrap this video up though, because it has gone on for a lot longer than I intended. So let me first and foremost thank you guys for taking time out of your day to spend with me here on the Geek Lounge. It is very much appreciated. I hope you guys did enjoy this video. If so, be sure to give it a thumbs up. As I said, drop some comments below if you guys did attend Comic Con Liverpool. Let me know how it went. What things did you pick up? What Funko Pops did you get signed? What art prints did you get signed? Who did you meet? Did you get any photo ops? And as always, we've got plenty more content on the way for you guys. I'm actually double dipping on Comic Cons this week. Yes, it's been an expensive month. Hell, it's been an expensive week because MCM Comic Con London kicks off this Friday. I'll actually be previewing the event in tomorrow's video. On Friday's video, I'll be unboxing the full Funko Pop collection of Critical Role Vox Machina. I intend to get the majority of them signed. Unfortunately, I did miss out on the Ashley Johnson autograph opportunity. It sold out before I could get it. I mean, I miss Matthew Mercer as well, but I probably wouldn't have got my Trinket Funko Pop signed if I did manage to get his autograph. I would have actually got my OG Trafalgar Law Funko Pop signed. Big One Piece fan, if you guys didn't know. But I do have auto ops for the rest of the guests. I know it's going to be super busy. They're sold out. I'm a little bit scared, if I'm being honest. I imagine Saturday is literally just going to be standing around queuing, but looking forward to meeting all of those guys. I'll of course be doing the usual Funko Pop hunting at MCM Comic Con, maybe a few other themed videos as well, and then of course the usual Funko, Lego, statues, figures, TCGs, all that fine jazz we love to play here on the Geek Lounge coming your way. Make sure you stay tuned for all of it and more. What is the easiest way to stay tuned, you ask? It's very simple. Subscribe, hit click, smash that subscribe button and enable the notifications so you don't miss out on any of that future content. Guys, man, I'm running out of breath. Thanks again for watching today's video, and we'll see you on the next one. Peace out, nerds!